My name is Lauren. I am 31 years old. I live in Arizona, USA. My husband, James, and I had been married for 5 happy years. We lived in a comfortable suburban home with a red door. James worked as a software developer, and I was a graphic designer. Our life seemed perfectly normal and filled with love. We talked about starting a family soon. I trusted James with my whole heart. He was my best friend and my biggest supporter. I never imagined he kept a massive secret from me. Our future looked bright and full of promise. I felt lucky every single day. James started working late more often about 6 months ago. He said a big new project at his office demanded extra hours. Sometimes he had to work on weekends too. I missed him, but I understood. I believed he was building a better future for us. He always came home looking tired, but would still give me a hug. He still remembered our anniversary and my birthday with sweet gifts. There were no obvious signs of anything wrong in our relationship. His phone was always left out, and he did not hide his schedule. I had no reason at all to be suspicious. One Tuesday evening, James called to say he would be working very late again. He said I should not wait up for him. I decided to surprise him. I made his favorite meal, a large pot of chili, and packed it up. I also packed some fresh cornbread and a slice of cake. I drove to his office building downtown. The night was clear and warm. I felt happy thinking about his face when he saw me. I pictured us eating together at his desk. I carried the food basket and walked into the lobby. The security guard at the front desk recognized me. He gave me a strange look when I said I was there to see James. He told me James had left the office over 2 hours ago. My happy feeling vanished instantly. I felt confused and a little worried. Maybe he felt sick and went home early. I called our house phone, but no one answered. I called his cell phone, but it went straight to voicemail. A cold knot of fear tightened in my stomach. Something felt very wrong. I thanked the guard and walked back to my car. I sat in the driver's seat trying to think logically. Maybe he went out for a late dinner with coworkers. I decided to drive by his favorite restaurant near the office. His car was not in the parking lot. I drove around for a while with no luck. I started feeling very anxious. My hands were gripping the steering wheel tightly. I decided to just go home and wait for him. Perhaps there was a simple explanation. I tried to push the scary thoughts out of my mind. I focused on the road ahead. On my drive home, I took a shortcut through a neighborhood we rarely visited. I stopped at a red light and glanced to my side. I saw James's car parked in the driveway of a small yellow house. My heart jumped into my throat. Why was his car here? I pulled over a few houses down and turned off my engine. I watched the house for a few minutes. The lights were on inside and the curtains were open. I could see movement inside the living room. I felt a strong need to know what was happening. I walked slowly up to the house. My legs felt weak and shaky. I peered carefully through the large front window. What I saw inside made my whole body freeze. James was standing in the living room. He had his arm around a woman with brown hair. He was smiling and he looked relaxed. Then a little boy, about 4 years old, ran into the room and hugged James's legs. James picked him up and kissed his cheek. They looked like a perfect family. The scene felt like a nightmare I could not wake up from. I stood there, completely hidden in the darkness. I watched this other woman laugh at something James said. She looked very comfortable with him. She touched his arm in a familiar way. The little boy called him Daddy. That one word shattered my entire world. The man I loved had a whole other family. He was a father to this little boy. He was a husband to this woman. Every happy memory we shared felt like a cruel joke. The pain in my chest was so sharp I could barely breathe. I had to get away from that window. I stumbled back to my car as quiet as I could. I started the engine and drove away quickly. Tears were streaming down my face, making it hard to see the road. I drove to my best friend Lisa's house. I knocked on her door, sobbing uncontrollably. She let me in and I told her everything I had seen. She held my hand and listened with a horrified expression. She helped me pack some of my things from my own house the next day while James was at work. I moved into her guest room temporarily. I never went back to the house with the red door. I hired a lawyer to handle everything for me. I sent James one short email telling him I knew about his other wife and his son. I told him never to speak to me again. He replied with one sentence, "I am so sorry." That was all. His apology meant nothing to me. The divorce was finalized a few months later. He did not fight for anything. He gave me everything I asked for, probably out of his guilt. I felt numb throughout the entire legal process. The months after the divorce were very difficult. I felt a deep sadness and a profound sense of betrayal. I questioned my own judgment and my ability to trust anyone. I started seeing a therapist to help me work through the pain. She told me that his actions were not my fault. I began to rebuild my life slowly. I found a new apartment and decorated it exactly how I wanted. I reconnected with old friends and focused on my design career. I took a pottery class, something I had always wanted to do. Now, I am in a much better place. The pain has faded into a memory. I have a new circle of friends who are kind and supportive. I enjoy my own company and my peaceful apartment. I have learned to trust myself again. I know that I am strong enough to handle anything life gives me. I am more careful with my heart, but I am not afraid of the future. I believe that honesty and love are still possible. I just know what to look for now. I have learned from this experience. My story is about finding my own strength after a terrible shock. Walking away was the best choice for my life. I chose to value myself and my own happiness. I will not let his lies define my future. I am Lauren, I am 30 years old, and I am building a true and honest life for myself. The future is a blank page, and I am ready to write a beautiful new story. I am free from his secrets, and I am finally at peace. My life is my own again.